And now this just in, the National Rifle Association has filed for bankruptcy in federal court. New York State Attorney General Letitia James filed a lawsuit against the NRA back in August.
A few moments later.
But she also has another criminal investigation on her right now. I want to show y'all some of the things that Letitia James said. Some of these things that she said that are now coming back to bite her. We know that she likes to run her mouth. I will use the constitutional power as Attorney General to regulate charities. That includes the NRA, to investigate their legitimacy. You're going to just go on a fishing expedition. This is what the government's saying. And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today we're going to be talking about the second criminal investigation into your girl. You know who she is. That's Letitia James, y'all. You know, she's the Attorney General of the state of New York. She currently has one criminal indictment on her. She's going to trial. As of now, y'all, she's actually going to trial in January for the whole bank mortgage fraud, maybe even a little insurance fraud situation, and a little insurance fraud sprinkled on top, right? But she also has another criminal investigation on her right now that I told y'all about in our previous video. And I'm going to give you the latest on this, y'all. This is criminal. Okay. And aside from this, she has a third situation that's civil, at least three, probably far more than that. But we're going to talk about her second criminal investigation right now. Now, this has to do with cases that she put on Donald Trump and the NRA several years ago for both of them. She won both of those cases, by the way, y'all. And in both situations, the verdicts were in the case of the NRA or its head honcho, Wayne LaPierre, it was about $4 million. And in the case of Donald Trump, it was over $400 million. So now that Donald Trump is back in power, he's going after her saying, yo, you did wrong, James, you did wrong. And they launched an investigation, and now they're subpoenaing information from her office, and she's trying to get the investigation quashed. She's trying to get the investigation overturned. She's trying to get a judge to say that, nah, you don't have to give up that information. But it looks like she has an uphill battle, which is what we're going to see today in this video. So y'all, I'm not going to do a huge long lead in. Let's just go ahead and hop into this second criminal investigation into your girl. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
And now this just in, the National Rifle Association has filed for bankruptcy in federal court. The gun rights group says that it will move its headquarters from New York to Texas and restructure as a nonprofit there. New York State Attorney General Letitia James filed a lawsuit against the NRA back in August, and she released a statement just now reading in part, the NRA's claimed financial status has finally met its moral status, bankrupt, and adds that she will not allow the NRA to, quote, evade accountability and my office's oversight.
All right, so there you see that New York actually filed suit against the NRA. And what you will see in these documents, y'all, this is the government responding to Letitia James saying, I should not have to comply with the subpoena. So the government said, hey, James, we have an investigation into you and your office. You have to give us certain information. Here's a document called a subpoena. It's an official document. You have to give it to us. James said, nuh-uh, right? So she went to the court and said, can you tell the government that I don't have to give those documents up? And so now this is the response to her denial, basically saying, I don't want to have to give up those documents. This is the government coming back at her and saying to the court, this is why she should have to give up the documents. Okay. Now, I want to show y'all some of the things that Letitia James said. Some of these things that she said that are now coming back to bite her. We know that she likes to run her mouth. And we know she likes to get on her high horse and get her finger waving in the air and talk like she's holier than thou, right? That's Letitia James's shtick. Well, the problem is when she's doing that, she runs off at the mouth and she says things that will come back to bite her. Let me read to y'all some of these things. These are all quotes. These are all found in the government's response to Letitia James trying to get out of this investigation, essentially. These are some of the things that she said. Today, I'm announcing my plans as Attorney General to stop gun violence and to take on the NRA. I will use the constitutional power as Attorney General to regulate charities that includes the NRA to investigate their legitimacy. So doesn't that sound like you're going to just go on a fishing expedition? This is what the government's saying. The NRA has an office here in New York State, and what we want to do is investigate to see whether or not they have in fact complied with the not-for-profit law in the state of New York. Again, this is just her saying, we're going to go on a fishing expedition. The U.S. has one of the highest gun-related death rates. Kids shouldn't go to school afraid. Today might be the day. Parents shouldn't worry about sending their kids to school. This can change, and we can take down the NRA. These are things that yo girl ran off at the mouth and said. When I'm Attorney General, I'll take on the NRA and investigate their status as a nonprofit. And finally, the NRA holds itself out as a charitable organization, but in fact, it really is a terrorist organization. So these are things that Letitia James said, right? That makes her seem like she was biased. That makes it look like she was going on a fishing expedition.
Now to breaking news. A jury has found Wayne LaPierre, the longtime leader of the National Rifle Association, liable for mismanagement. The civil suit brought by New York's Attorney General Tish James accused LaPierre and others of using their organization as their personal piggy bank. Testimony in the 6-week trial detailed LaPierre's lavish spending on perks such as chartered private flights and acceptance of expensive gifts. LaPierre will have to repay $4.4 million to the NRA.
So in this document, y'all, in this filing, they are saying to the court, and they being the government, they're saying to the court, heck yeah, she should have to turn over the documents that we're looking for in this criminal investigation. So Letitia James has a few defenses that she's using, okay? Let's talk about those really quick. One, she's saying that the subpoena is politically motivated. Now, isn't that interesting that she's saying that the subpoena is politically motivated when we just read all of these politically motivated statements she made before she launched her investigations? I mean, what more do we say, y'all? So she's saying that this criminal investigation is politically motivated when the entire investigation is to whether she was politically motivated when she did what she did. You can't make this up, y'all. But even if the subpoena were politically motivated, the court generally does not inquire into the grand jury's motives. The grand jury said, yo, we want to see these documents. You got to turn them over. Also, Letitia James is arguing that there's a separation between federal and state. And if the court allows the federal government to meddle in state business, that's a violation of state sovereignty. But federal courts have repeatedly held that nothing in the Constitution immunizes a state attorney general from a federal grand jury. In other words, you don't have immunity. Just because you're a state doesn't mean you have immunity from federal crimes. Come on, girl. She's also saying that she has the First Amendment freedom of speech. Hey, I'm just out here talking. I'm running my mouth. You can't put me in jail because I ran my mouth, right? So she's saying that these subpoenas, right? These subpoenas will chill the First Amendment protection of mouth running, right? But the Department of Justice, the government, is saying, look, states are not persons. States don't have constitutional rights. So inasmuch as you are acting on behalf of the state, you're not acting on behalf of your individual right to run your mouth, and the state doesn't have a right to run its mouth. So come on now. And also, even if there is some sort of state right to run its mouth, there's still a compelling federal interest for the court to uphold this subpoena because, again, the federal government has to be able to investigate potential federal crimes.
The U.S. Supreme Court has sided with the National Rifle Association in a case involving New York State. Thursday's unanimous ruling said the NRA's free speech rights were violated by Maria Vullo, a former state financial regulator who pushed banks and insurance companies to cut ties with the gun rights group. Now, the opinion, written by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, said the NRA plausibly alleged that Vullo violated the First Amendment by coercing regulated entities to stop doing business with the NRA and punish the group.
It has broad implications insofar as it's basically saying the government cannot use third parties as intermediaries to censor speech. And that was a principle that came out much earlier in Bantam books in the 60s, but it's sort of a reaffirmation of that in the present era.
Vullo left her post with New York State in 2019. Today's ruling does allow the NRA to sue New York regulators over disparaging business practices.
Also, Letitia James is arguing that the attorney heading this lacks the authority to do so. Y'all may have remembered that from previous cases where they're attacking all of Donald Trump's attorneys at the moment, saying that they are improperly in their positions. But the government says, hey, this is a special attorney, so that doesn't apply. Will that stand or won't it? We don't know. We'll have to see how this will be ruled on. So as of right now, y'all, yo girl, she's trying to get out of this subpoena. She's trying to have the court say that she does not have to turn over the documents that the subpoena is requesting. The subpoena is from a grand jury, okay? And they're saying we want to see these documents, and she's trying to have the court say you don't have to turn them over. This response to her request not to turn over the documents seems to be pretty solid, okay? The court is not going to be very inclined to overrule and reject the grand jury, which has wide-ranging powers on the federal level. So it looks like she will probably have to turn over those documents. So it's going to be a slow burn. It's going to be a slow burn. Once they get the documents into the hands of the grand jury, they're going to continue their investigation. They're going to see if she did anything wrong, y'all. We don't know as of right now because they don't have the documentation. But it looks like they will probably get it based on everything that has happened up until this point. So that is the latest on Letitia James's second criminal investigation, okay? And remember, we're following the first criminal investigation in other videos as it relates to her potential bank fraud trial. As of now, we're waiting to see if that prosecutor will be disqualified, and if so, what will happen to the case. Y'all, let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think the court will force the Attorney General to hand over those documents? And if so, will there be evidence of crimes there? Let me know down in the comments. But before you do, y'all, please stop, hit that share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Y'all, we are building our Patreon. We have our first several members. We're looking to get our first 222 members as our founders. Come and join us. Click the first link down in the description. Join us on Patreon. We'll see you over there. I want to thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. We'll see you back in the next one.